Well, hello YouTube, my name is Joe. I'm a husband of one and a father of five. I work as a high school shop teacher, and today I'm going to talk about the tools that I use to harvest and butcher pigs here on my little farm. And so, goal of my video is to basically not talk about the actual butchering process. I will tell you that personally I've used videos created by the Bearded Butchers as my resource and my reference. But my goal is to just kind of show you how I've adapted those industrial methods into working here on a little hobby farm, right? I'm just trying to be more sufficient, lest I say self-sufficient. But let's kind of walk through this, do it fairly quickly so that you can gather information. I usually lack entertainment ability, so let's go. Behind you, you see the pig pen. This is a 32 by 32 foot-ish pig pen. That shelter there is about 5 foot by 8 foot. The footprint of it and the front of it is probably in that 6 foot range, and it slopes back. You can see that I have a feeder here. It's gravity feeder. It holds about 100 pounds of feed, and you can see it is missing a door because 3 pigs are pretty rough on it. It's still standing. It's still pretty correct. Made out of 3/4 inch plywood, 2x6s, and then I have it up on top of I believe those are 4x4s, just treated 4x4s to keep it out of the mud, and then it is harnessed to the fence. Over on that side, I have a 55-gallon barrel with a bite valve on it, and 1 bite valve seemed to be enough for 3 pigs, even though during the heat of the summer you really had to fill the thing up about every 3rd day, but that was sufficient for 3 pigs water. More, you'd probably want to have a couple barrels just so that they didn't fight, right? Side note, I would say that always have extra bite valves, have extra those connectors to get it connected to that barrel, because they will break from time to time. Pigs are rough. And so this is where I raised them from piglets, and this is where I dispatched them. And so my suggestion would be to you is to either have some kind of corral or some kind of area to bring them into for that dispatching, or you have to have a good relationship where they want to come up and get petted so that they're nice and close to the fence so that you can kind of finish things off. I feel like this is the best end to an animal that I raise that's going to go into the freezer. I didn't have to ship them anywhere. I didn't have to truck them anywhere. They weren't stressed at any kind of harvesting facility. It ended here. So that's what I would say. The next thing I would say is I have hog panels here. You need to be able to lift the pig up and over that that fence. So I have a small Kubota with a front end loader. If you did not have that, you would have to have a gate of some sort that you could manually either wheel it out or actually load it out. So this is the pig pen portion of my my situation here. You will see that I have a plastic trough here. During the last month of their life, I started feeding them apples and feeding them grain just to train them to come to me, to come to me, to come to me. It made the finish very, very easy. Let's go to the barn. A little chilly outside today, so after you do that kill shot, you have about a 15-second window before that pig really starts to flop around as it's ending, right? So you got about 15 seconds before that happens, so you need to step over the fence quickly, and you need to use some kind of knife to get into that artery along the neck. That's my method. Some people will go into the heart. I feel like that's a little tougher because you got ribs and you got that sternum there. So I go into the neck, and you know when you hit that artery, there will be a burst of blood flow. And so I will say it's a tough deal. This is the 5th pig. We did 3 this year, 2 years ago. And this was, you know, only done 5 of these, but I will tell you that you just know you got to do it. You do that. Meanwhile, I've got the tractor running, warming up, idling, and then I use a small cable sling. Not sure where I came up with this or where I got it from, but I'm able to put this right around one of the rear legs. Usually I have to use a chain to actually kind of pull closer to the fence. Once I get that, I have a hook on the top of the tractor. I hook this, lift up that pig, and almost all of it can get over that fence. The head usually get it motivated over a little bit. At that spot, I will bring it up closer to water, and I just will continue to knife the rest of the head off. I've got a Sawzall. Really, it's a some kind of cordless reciprocating saw, and I've got a 12-inch blade. I've got a little cut plastic ketchup container to keep some of that slop off the saw, and then I will dehead the thing. I do realize I lose some of the jowl meat. Someday I'll learn how to keep that, but at that point I pressure wash. I pull out I got an old DeWalt pressure washer, and it just does a good job. And you pressurize from hoof to hoof, and you just keep going back and forth, around, back and forth, around. They are so dirty that by the time you are actually like, the pig is a different color than it was all summer long. And you get that mud off, because mud, dirt, it's gonna dull your blade, it's gonna get into the meat somehow, so you wanna get it off that hide. So as you remove the hide, it's clean. We want clean. It's gonna be a greasy animal. There's a lot of mess to this, but you don't want dirt. Absolutely not dirt. And I'm gonna tell you that the dirt that's on pigs is not 100% dirt. And so you really wanna get that animal as clean as you can. And it doesn't take long with a pressure washer. With a hose, it's gonna take a while. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this into the barn. And this is a skinning cradle. Once again, I've adapted a lot of things just watching Bearded Butchers. They are commercial butchers. I believe they're now in the Ohio area. Really great educational website, YouTube channel, Instagram. I really think the world of these guys. They have just spent their time teaching people how to do it, even though it's developing a little bit of competition, but I'm not gonna haul things down to Ohio. And quite honestly, if I had a good butcher in my area, I probably wouldn't do this, but there's no good small-time butcher anymore. They're all commercial outfits, and I'm not quite sure that I'm actually gonna get my meat back. And that's a concern. So this is a skinning cradle. Basically, it's just out 2x4s. And the idea is that I can bring that pig in. You have to open that pig up along their belly, around their legs. You have to take their hooves, I guess you'd call it, their feet off. And so by using the skinning cradle, it gets it up off the ground. So I don't have to be down on my knees or bent over, and that's just gonna destroy my back quickly. And so skinning cradle, very easy. I just made it out of some scraps, some pallet wood, some 2x4s, and really probably all in all, there's less than I'm guessing less than $16 worth of wood in there. And probably, honestly, I didn't buy any of the wood. I had it around, but I probably purchased it at one time. The actual legs on it are about 30 inches tall. And then I literally just measured, I think it's about 42 inches long. And then I just measured the pig, honestly, just kind of figure out how wide I needed to be. You'll see that there is some deck boards, and then there is some 2x4s, and the 2x4s, I made it so that I could adjust those in and out, but I did pretty good. And so that is the skinning cradle. So my next concern with this whole process was I needed a way to hoist the pigs. I needed a way to lift them into the air. because it's just me, right? It was me and my wife, and she's just a little thing. And I'm an old man. Sometimes I feel like, and so I knew I wanted to have some kind of lift, some kind of hoist, but I didn't need to have what I call a one-trick pony, where you can only do one thing with it. We do pigs about every other year. That looks like the pattern that we're in, and so start thinking about some kind of beam, some kind of I-beam. Could I actually like harness it to the roof of my barn, or at least these, you can see these LVLs, there's one there, 24 foot span. That'd be a heck of a big I-beam, but would that be the right move? How much weight would that add? Could my structure handle it? You can see there's a beam there, and then there's a big beam up there. You know, is that a possibility? Maybe someday with the right engineering, right? But so I ended up getting this gantry here. This is a 10-foot tall gantry. It is on casters. It is about 11 feet wide. And so I wanted to make sure that it's movable. I wanted to make sure that it could get around. My son has a big equipment trailer, and it's only a 1 ton. But quite honestly, I'm not going to be working with much that's over 2,000 pounds in my life. I can't imagine. It did come with that trolley. It came with an air-powered chain hoist, which I was able to sell to a guy. And then I bought a chain fall, just a cheap Amazon $50-ish chain fall. That was my backup plan. But then you can see that I have a hoist there. We'll get you a little closer to that. That is a strong way. It's 1,100 pound with a single pull, but if you double it up, it pulls to 2,200 pounds, and really the speed of it goes down. Lots of ahs, right? That's my number one comment. That's just the way my brain works. Anyhow, there you go. That is that strong way hoist. Pretty pleased with it. I was able to find this trolley on the Amazon that actually works with these hoists. And so that was on the Amazon. It's actually sold also through Northern Tool. Northern Tool usually has decent items. And so the only thing I would do differently is I'd put this sucker inside of a bag because it's a greasy mess, just from handling stuff. But I was able to use that to kind of hoist up the animal. Now, one of the next things I knew was one of my biggest issues last time was I was skinning with the tractor. And I think I have a video clip somewhere of that process. And I had some earth anchors in the ground, and it took like 3 of us because, you know, hydraulics are a little bit jumpy sometimes. You're trying to listen, your communication wasn't great. But really, it didn't make for a controlled environment. And then when it came to gutting, because I was pulling really from a single pull, I couldn't get into the cavity. I couldn't get the anus cut out. I had a hard time. So I knew I wanted to have a gambrel that could be really spread those rear legs and those hips apart. And so really started searching gambrels. They had some on Amazon. Looked like a pretty decent one, but then you throw shipping on it, and it was like almost double the price. It seemed a little ridiculous. I came across a guy, I believe Alan Taylor. He's a slaughter butcher type guy, and he had a homemade gambrel. Reached out to him, and sure enough, he came back and he made a little video clip, and I'll try to tag that for you. And so didn't understand what these were. These are single trolley hooks. I got these down at Southern Indiana Butcher Supply or something like that. I called, talked to a guy, and away they went. They were in my house in 3 days, and these were just shy of $11 a piece. Of course, you throw on shipping, and you're spending $30 for 2 of these things. These are just what we call quick links, half-inch quick links. This is a half-inch eye bolt, and then I threw a washer on there and a double nut, and that allowed that thing to swivel, which is super convenient. Pretty much did the same thing up here, except this is a heavier duty eye bolt. Let's get closer. And then once again, washer, and by putting that washer in there and double nutting it, it swivels. And so this pipe is 36 inches wide. I came in about 2 inches, so that spreads about 32 inches. And then once you put these in here, you're at that about 26 inch mark. Probably they're a little bit too wide, but I also thought, we butcher out a few deer a year. This is not going to be a bad setting. Golly gee, Joe, what's that square tube about? That's a 1 inch steel pipe. I had it, just found it, right? And so what I would say is by the time you drill a 1 inch hole through this, after that first pig, I noticed a bow was happening. And I thought, there's no way. These next two are going to be much bigger. The first pig was Miss Judy. She was right around 300 pounds. And the two boys, I'm guessing they're 330, 335, something like that. I did buy a scale, but the scale took away 10 inches of my pole height. And so I didn't use it on the other guys. And I wish I would have been able to actually have that actual number, but she was, like I said, she was 300, and they were definitely bigger. They were definitely bigger, and more meat and more lard and everything. And so this little square tube with these cheapy clamps, it held. It did a good job, and honestly, I will probably improve on this, but I don't think I need to. The next thing I needed to do was if I was going to use this to skin, and like I said, I watched a butchering video by the Bearded Butchers, and I can't tag them or shout them out enough. They use like a D-ring in their floor. I didn't have a D-ring, but I did have a big long oak 4x4 that I used as my anchor point. Of course, once you get to here, you're probably 8 to 10 inches off the ground. And so that was less than great, but it was helpful, especially as you're trying to get that skin over those rear hams. Once you get past there, honestly, this last pig, I just skinned it just like a deer. You just keep going around and around and around and around. And I lost some of that back fat. I lost some of that lard. But I've got enough lard. That's not a problem. Did make this small chain. This chain is just a slip chain that I can stick it around that and then back through. And that I use that to anchor that hide and then to pull it off. And it worked pretty good. But once again, I didn't remember how greasy these animals are, and I'm pretty much guaranteeing that this chain, it's never going to rust on me. So let's go to the last step. Last step for me is just a cutting board, cutting table, and yeah, if you're guessing, it's a pallet. These are some old deck boards. I use this, and then I've got a big piece of plastic. I think it's around 42 by 42 or whatever a pallet is. Came across this, and honestly, it's been pretty great. You can wash it, you can bleach it. I use this for chickens. I'll use this for deer. I've cut a lot of pig on this now, and I like it because it's nice and high. You buy these butcher tables, the fold-out cheapy butcher tables, and you're bent over. And I don't really care how strong a back you have. You bend over all day, you'll destroy your back. And so that is ideal. And so these are just some of the tools that I use to do this butchering. Like I said, I am not going to give tips on how to pull the shoulder bone out or how to debone or the grinding or anything. If someone watched my work, they would probably say that, hey, you're a hack, you're doing a sloppy job. But we did it, right? We did it. And so you guys that are thinking about at-home butchering, these are some of the tools I've used. There are improvements to be made. I wish that this gantry was taller. Like I said, I'll keep my eye out for a beam, but I don't know, once you go out to 24 foot, how big's that gotta be? Then how much weight does that add to my barn? And structurally, I think that a right person could probably do the job. I don't know if I'm that right person. And that would be ideal. That would get me way up in the air. Honestly, this winch would be able to handle that as far as the height goes. That would be an improvement. To put an anchor on the ground, I don't think that would be very hard. That wouldn't be super hard to get the right size anchors in, and probably this concrete floor would be thick enough for that. Those would be probably the big improvements, but once again, it wasn't that hard. From kill to having this thing hanging in 2 pieces per pig was right around 2 hours. Actually, our second time was probably the fastest, about 1 hour and 45 minutes. And the third pig, like I said, I just couldn't get the skin off very good. I was really tired, and that took a little bit more, but not too much more. And so, anyhow, now I'm rambling. My goal was to make this video short, and it's not going to be short, but there you go. Add some tools. It makes the job a little bit easier. And then, like I said, a lot of my goal was to not have what we call one-trick ponies. I will use a gantry again. I will use this gambrel again. I'm going to use the pressure washer again and again and again. And so I use this cutting board a lot. And I could break that thing down, and then I take it up to my loft here. And so the only thing that I really, really, really would like to have is some kind of cooler, because it took more than a month's worth of cold nights to actually get this done. Where I would have, here in Michigan, we had an extremely warm fall. Today is really the first chilly day that we've had in a while. And these pigs were ready in October, but we were 60, 70 degrees, and that would have been no bueno, as they say, all right? And so to have a small cooler, shoot, I would even consider putting a cooler up in that loft. If I had a cable winch, then it's out of the way, but that's gonna require more brain cells than I have today. So there you go, guys. Joe is still alive, and the pigs are not. So thanks for joining me. You guys have a good day. If you got any questions or comments, please reach out. I'm more than willing to help. I might not be helpful, but I'm willing to help. So bye now.